Hello, everyone. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Happy Halloween, everybody. We got a storm system that's impacting us right now in the form of an atmospheric river, bringing lots of rain to the area today. Unfortunately, all the Tootsie Rolls are going to be soggy tonight while trick-or-treating. And then we got a stronger storm system that's going to be moving in tomorrow, Saturday, and that's what this video is mostly going to be about. But we'll take a quick look at the forecast for this Halloween Eve. So let's get right into things. Looking at the radar currently, you can see the rain that's moving in right now with our atmospheric river. It looks like the Camano Island radar tower went down because you notice how it just freezes up there. That's not the precipitation just randomly freezing. That doesn't even make sense. But this is over the last hour. You can clearly see we got a lot of rain moving in right now, and it's going to continue all the way through the evening. Now looking at sea level pressure on the European model, let's go right into looking at our storm right now. So you can see we got our atmospheric rivers along this pressure gradient right here. It's not a super strong gradient, but it's bringing some gusts over 50, almost 60 miles per hour to parts of Whidbey Island and the Port Townsend area earlier today. It's still pretty breezy outside my house right now on North Whidbey Island. Then as we go through tonight, the pressure gradient relaxes, and then look at the storm system. It's kind of hard to notice here. It's this little late, what we call a late breaking wave. It's when a storm system is developing as it moves ashore, so it's not having enough time to fully develop into a cyclone. And this is what's happening. It's only going to be about maybe 998 to 1,000 millibars as it moves over us, but there's going to be a pretty good pressure gradient that sets up to the south of it that's going to bring some potential for a run-of-the-mill windstorm tomorrow across parts of western Washington. And we're going to look at wind gusts just here in a second after we go through what the models are showing just for the low pressure system itself. So the European model brings a 1,001 millibar low, maybe 1,000, and then moves it out to the east by Saturday afternoon. Once this moves through, there's going to be a westerly surge of wind that comes down the strait. Models are kind of disagreeing on exactly how strong that's going to be because it really depends on exactly how strong this storm system is going to be as it comes in, and how fast it weakens, and also the exact position as well. The farther north it goes, the stronger that pressure gradient will be going down the Strait of Juan de Fuca and the Whidbey Island, along the Strait of Juan de Fuca, like Port Angeles, the San Juans, etc. However, the Puget Sound will be in the strongest winds in the morning time frame, so it might take some of you by surprise by how windy it's going to be tomorrow. And there's definitely likely going to be power outages if some of these model solutions happen. So now let's look at the NAM3 cam. This is the higher resolution model. It's got a very similar story with maybe a little bit of a stronger low, 998, as it moves to the east. And notice it reaches peak strength right about in the early afternoon, just to our east. This is what's going to cause all that high pressure to flow and get pulled through the valleys and gaps in the terrain. And that's what's going to cause that westerly surge of wind to go down the Strait of Juan de Fuca in the afternoon. But you can also see that in the morning, there's going to be that strong north to south pressure gradient that's going to cause those pretty strong winds to parts of the Puget Sound tomorrow. The European mall is kind of downtreaded in the last run, but I think all the malls are not exactly sure what's going to happen. So now let's look at the HRRR mall. The HRRR develops this storm a bit more. Actually, it develops almost a closed low, like it almost fully develops the storm, and then it reaches peak strength as a 996 millibar low to the east of the Cascades. Notice how the pressure gradient is much stronger on the HRRR mall, and I'll show you here in a second. It's also got stronger wind gusts for this exact reason. So there's definitely still some model disagreement, even though we're within 24 hours of the event. These type of systems are notoriously hard for models to get the exact strength of, but at least some sort of gusty, the locally strong winds are going to occur. So now let's look at surface wind gusts. This is the European model. As we play this through, this is about when I'm recording the video for the 5 o'clock on Halloween. You can see that there's already continuing to be gusts up towards 40 to 50 miles per hour for parts of Whidbey Island, maybe locally stronger than that. It's started to calm down a bit as the rain has moved in. Most of this is going to calm down by late this evening, and then we're going to quickly pick it up again around Saturday at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. for the Puget Sound, Whidbey Island, up towards maybe getting close to Bellingham. It's going to stay a little farther south than today. Notice how the coast is already starting to get windy by like maybe 3 to 5 a.m. And then the Seattle area really gets windy by about 7 to 9 o'clock and then continues all the way through until like about 11. Then you can see the westerly surge right here coming down the Strait of Fuca. It's a little hard to see, but you can see it's got some gusts almost towards 50 miles per hour for parts of West Beach, northern Whidbey Island, and basically north of Freeland and Greenbank. Parts of Port Townsend, parts of Port Angeles as well. Some malls show stronger, as I'll show in a minute, and then all the winds die down by late Saturday afternoon and evening. So now let's look at the NAM 3 cam. This is about right now. You can see the winds dying down as we go through this evening. Then the winds really pick up by tomorrow morning around 7 to 9 a.m. The NAM's got stronger winds than the European mall. It sometimes overdoes these winds for the Puget Sound, but there is definitely a real likelihood of getting gusts up towards 45, maybe even 50 miles per hour for parts of the Puget Sound. And south, what I'm starting to notice is a lot of malls are showing some gusts up towards 50 miles per hour for parts of South Whidbey. South Whidbey is probably the calmest part of the island of Whidbey Island when it comes to wind speeds, as they don't typically get those wraparound winds around the Olympics. However, the way the storm system's coming in, the winds are going to be slightly more out of the southwest. They're going to be about south-southwesterlies instead of southeasterlies. And that's going to cause the winds to impact South Whidbey Island a bit more than North Whidbey Island, and is likely to cause some added power outage trouble and tree damage because the trees down there are not as used to these type of winds. And then you can see in the afternoon, there's the westerly surge coming down the strait. It's more definitive on the NAM. You can see gusts up towards 50 miles per hour. Likely would cause some tree damage as we're just going from southerly winds to westerly winds, so the trees don't have a lot of time to prepare, and the ground is going to be extra saturated after all the rain tonight and tomorrow morning as well. So this westerly surge is going to come down sometime in the afternoon, probably around maybe 1 to 4 p.m. Some I'll show a little earlier than that, but they tend to come in a bit later than models show. So now let's look at the HRRR model that has the strongest ones. So you see that our winds this evening continuing to calm down. Then they pick up again as we go through Saturday. Early morning. And look at this. The HRRR's got like almost a fully developed cyclone. It's got bent back occlusion, almost exactly like last Saturday's system, maybe a little bit weaker. The HRRR is currently the most aggressive model with this, and this is probably not as likely of a solution that's going to happen, but some models have hinted at it as well, so that's why I'm going to still show it. Look at this. It brings a region-wide windstorm with gusts 55 miles per hour, maybe some localized 60 mile per hour gusts across the Puget Sound. This would likely do lots of tree damage. It also brings in a little later about the strongest winds start to come in around 8 to 9 o'clock, and then peak winds are at like 10 to 12 o'clock. And then notice the westerly surge. Look at this. It's got some gusts approaching 55 to 65 miles per hour coming down the Strait of Fuca, as that low is a lot stronger. This would bring up quite a lot of power outages and be a decent windstorm for Whidbey Island as well. So you can see there's some disagreement in the models. Some models, all models have some sort of level of wind, but some of them are just general fall windstorm that we get a couple times a year. However, the HRRR shows a more impactful windstorm that would likely leave tens of thousands, maybe even close to 100, 200,000 people out of power if this were to happen, especially with all the rain that we're going to be getting before this storm comes in. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. That's why I'm doing this extra video before the real trick-or-treating gets started. And now let's move on to the rain. Now let's look at the European model. This is 1 hour increments. So we can really see the rain's already moving in. Let's go to the right now. For the 5, you can see when we looked at radar, this is exactly what it looked like. We had this huge band of rain over there. Look at it, just kind of remains over installs, especially over the central and southern Puget Sound areas and the southwest Washington area. Notice how it just stalls out and all the way through the evening. Unfortunately, it's going to be very soggy out there for all the trick-or-treaters around most of the Puget Sound. But however, models have started speeding up this front a bit, and there is a little bit of drying around Whidbey Island in the San Juans and Bellingham by around maybe 7 to 8 o'clock. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to happen. If it does happen, there's still going to be some rain around, so it's not going to be 100% dry, but we'll take what we can get. Living here in the Pacific Northwest during Halloween, you never know if it's going to be really wet. And as we go through the late night, we start drying out a bit, but then we get another surge of moisture as that storm system moves in, and then the rain finally fully stops by. Look at those showers continuing all the way through Saturday evening as a convergent zone sets up over parts of Whidbey Island. Probably once those westerly winds happen, places mostly favoring me the southern parts of Island County, up over towards Snohomish County, maybe southern Skagit County a bit as well. But by late Sunday morning, we should be mostly clear. Maybe Sunday afternoon, there's just going to be kind of scattered showers around through Sunday morning as well. And if we look at total precipitation on the year, PML through Sunday evening, notice these are some pretty impressive totals for a couple. And most of this is happening within a 24 to 30 hour period. You can see up towards 1.5 inches for the Puget Sound, maybe even approaching close to 2 inches up there in Arlington as you're closer to the mountains. You can see up towards 2 to 4 inches for some of the mountains, maybe 1 to 1.5 inches for Portland as well. You can see Forks getting close to 2+ inches out there. No wonder we got rainforest out there on the Olympic Peninsula. You can see Vancouver getting close to maybe 1.5 to 2 inches for some places. The North Shore Mountains getting up over 3 inches. Eastern Vancouver Island and almost all of Vancouver Island really getting basically 1 to 2 inches. Notice how the rain shadow isn't like it's not like green like it usually is. There's actually going to be quite a bit of rain, as you can probably notice outside on Whidbey Island. The rain shadow is not that strong this time around. And so parts of Whidbey Island are likely to get up towards 1 inch of rainfall, maybe a little less than an inch for parts of North Whidbey, but South Whidbey might approach 1.5 inches in some spots as well. So let's go back to the satellite imagery of our storm system developing right here. You can see our initial storm that's impacting us right now is all the way here, and it's going all the way across the North Pacific, this whole stretch of moisture. So anyways, I just wanted to get a quick video out there for everybody, just talking about what the forecast is for trick-or-treating here in the next couple of hours, and the potential for some windstorm action tomorrow. The forecast is a bit tricky, pun intended. Maybe we'll get a treat and the storm won't be as impactful, as I know everybody wants to enjoy their week this weekend without more power outages like last weekend. So anyway, I hope everyone has a spooktacular evening, and I'll talk to everybody in the next forecast video. Goodbye, everybody.